Are any of you following what's going on Twitter at the moment with the release of information that the system doesn't want? Now, whether you believe that the man that owns Twitter is one of us, Elon Musk, or whether you believe that he's all part of the system, which I personally do, but nevertheless, are they just giving us theatre here? But it goes. The latest Twitter Files report release on Saturday night reveals Twitter took down President Trump's account at the behest, or whatever you pronounce that, of Michelle Obama, nice woman, and other Democrats. The deep state and Democrats blamed Trump for the violence in the US Capitol following his speech in Washington. Now listen, there were people that peacefully made their way up there. They did go in. There was that mush dressed in horns, which turned out to be an actor. And there was lots of, how should we say, paid US deep state people. That doesn't, how do I put this? CIA people, right? That were saying, we've got to do this to the Capitol. And they've already been proven who they were for, what they were, and all the rest of it. They were trying to actively cause a riot so they could actually get this. Now, why don't we remind ourselves of the people that were supporting the Democrats? And I find it quite funny that they call themselves Democrats because they're against democracy. But why don't we talk about all of those riots that were going around in those cities, especially the very left-leaning cities over America that had Antifa running all over the place and literally seizing the center of these cities for a while at least. And it's amazing, when they put their own rules in there, what was the first thing that happened? The local gangs came in and held them all to ransom and stole all their shit. So, it is what it is. But I find it funny. Well, I don't actually, but it's one of those things that, how is it that one side of the political spectrum can go to places like Twitter, and I assume if they've been able to do it to Twitter, they would have done it to other places, and say, we need to shut him down. We need to stop him speaking. Here's the rubbish rules or the reasons that we'll use to do so, but we'll close him down. We will take the attention away from him, and then we will win. I've just been an old romantic here, I guess. Wasn't it always the best man or woman win? The person with the best skills for the job, or the person who offered the most to the people who were voting, wasn't that usually the one that won? Or am I just being romantic here? Well, actually, I'm a bit disillusioned because I think there's been election rigging for a long time. But this is what we were led to believe growing up. The best man for the job, or the best woman for the job. Now, I don't believe that, a bloke is necessarily better in a position than a woman. If she has the ability to do whatever it is better than him, then she's the best person for the job. However, figures actually show that women end up around middle management, generally speaking, and blokes end up either at the top or at the bottom. There's bell curves and everything to explain all this. I'm not going into it now, but that's a fact. However, for Michelle Obama to have that much sway over the people in Twitter, now we know that Twitter was so incredibly left-leaning. I got binned off myself. I got dogpiled by a bunch of idiots saying that I was an anti-Semite, which clearly I'm not. And that was all that Twitter wanted, to get rid of me because I'm, to them, I don't know what I am, heretic, right, far right, call me, pick your name. That's what it is. But anyway, let's have a little look. I didn't see that. Michelle Obama. Like all of you, I've been feeling so many emotions since yesterday. I tried to put my thoughts down here. There's a big, long sentence. Loads of it, really. She's just having a whinge. Her and her partner probably did more damage in America than recent presidents before. Obviously, Nixon had his fair share because Watergate scandal didn't do the White House or the political sphere any good at all. I suppose you could say that after the death of Kennedy, then you had, LBJ. And LBJ reversed all the good work that Kennedy did on bringing the lads back from Vietnam and stopping the war and trying to bridge the difference between the communists and themselves and all the rest of it. But I think you'll find that LBJ did all of that. Excuse me, itchy nose again. And it was funny because before he was interviewed before he died, and it came out that he had some serious demons, that he'd felt regret, shame, guilt. He was a really troubled man about what he'd done. But if you think about it, his reversal of the order that Kennedy put out a week before to bring the troops home, basically ensured the death of millions in that country. The other thing it also did was help bring in huge sums of drugs via Air America, and there's a lot of pilots that have come forward since then and said that it was amazing because they'd be flying these Huey helicopters, and they'd have these CIA agents or people who were higher up, right, and they'd have the PA system talking, because they'd have to talk with the headphones on because of the engine, and they were talking about how many billion they were making through the drugs and arms industry, and how the Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, those areas, but they weren't the only ones, incidentally. The CIA Black Ops organization was farming drugs in from all areas around the globe, and they used these wars, phony wars, as a cover to do so. We've gone back. I suppose you could say that maybe even if we're looking at another president which could have had damage, would have been Reagan. Now, Reagan took us to the brink again of nuclear Armageddon. 1984, they were doing a trainee exercise, right, where they pretend they're going to launch a strike, and they put all of their people out in the field, and they do radio ops and stuff like this, and they also, they're in Europe doing this as well, but they let the other side know that this is going to happen. But there was so much distrust between Reagan's side and who was in at the time? Oh, it was the one with is it Brezhnev with the eyebrows? There were some fierce eyebrows, but anyway, there was that much tension that the system itself in 84 said they'd launched. And there was a guy that sat there, and he should have said, right, we launch our counter, but didn't. And he waited and he waited, and it turned out that the computer had made an error. However, he got reprimanded, but that's the closest we've got to nuclear Armageddon since Kennedy and Khrushchev. But it was under Reagan, I should also say, that the arms Contra affair, where he got away with it and managed to keep himself fairly clean, while the guys within the CIA and the military, like Colonel Oliver North and others like it, got done. And the drug system had, or the import of drugs, they were using the money that they flooded America with drugs to buy arms to fund the Contras to fight communism. That was the CIA. They had all these things going on all around the globe, and it was like some of these assets that they had back then came back to bite them in the bum. You can look at Obama. You can look at numerous other things around the world that have gone on that the CIA funded because they needed them at the time. And then at the end of the day, they ended up fighting them at a later date because they give them the training, the arms, the experience, and whatever. So, yeah. And now what have we got? Well, we've got Biden. Now, under Biden's rule, democracy is getting its biggest kick in yet. He is rolling out the vaccine program. We won't talk about that, not particularly here, because I've talked about that already. What else is he doing? He's trying to start trouble with Russia. Well, he is starting trouble with Russia and using what's the name of that? Because they were trying to start war before him with President Assad, weren't they? No, what's the one of this? Zelensky. That's the one that if I put a green T-shirt on, I look like his older brother. Anyway, that's what people say, oh, you look like Zelensky. No, he's a lot younger than me. But yeah, has there ever been a president over in America that wasn't completely embroiled in corruption and trouble? Because you look at the way that Kennedy got in. He got in through his dad bribing the mafia to swing the vote. And then there's all the other stuff that went on behind the scenes. What about Gerald Ford? He seemed like the most vanilla president. Maybe he was the one that caused the least. I don't think so, but it's amazing, isn't it? Of all the people in America that they could get in, they get these people that are utterly troubled. Makes you think that these people are picked. That you're getting given, you can go for A or you can go for B. Both of those have already been picked by the system to make sure they serve the system. Or is that too much of a conspiracy? What do you think? Let me know what you think in the comments. I like to go off on a tangent occasionally. But let me know if you like the tangents. or whether you'd like me to stick straight to the topic. I'm going to go now and do some more content and probably go on a tangent. I'll see you in a bit.